Hey everybody, welcome to Career Insights 501. Is Dr. Loso, and today I have a special guest all the way from India. He stayed up or got up a little extra early for me to come onto the podcast and talk to you all today about his career. So everybody, welcome Mannmay to the show, and he's going to definitely tell you all how to say his name a lot better than what I just did. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for inviting, and pretty excited because I don't do podcasts much, but yeah,
Hmm.
I've done a couple, so I like the experience. I like definitely sharing my views and um, maybe on creative careers and interesting career paths people can choose. So, thank you for inviting.
Yeah, no problem. Well, you reached out to me on Polyworks. So thank
Yeah,
you for reaching out to, come on here and talk to the listeners about your educational background and career and, your business and what you have, going on. And I just looked over your profile and your message again. It seems like you're kind of like a jack of all trades. It seems like I saw you doing something with platelets and helping people with education and I guess the financial part of that. But we'll definitely get into all the
yeah,
great things that you're doing. So starting off, just go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
yeah. So I don't know about the other guests on your podcast, but definitely I'm very young comparatively to the other guests. So yeah, I'm Mannmay
Okay.
and I'm 21. I've
Oh
recently
wow.
yeah
Yeah, you are.
I've recently graduated. I've completed my bachelor's in computer science engineering
Hmm.
from my university, and um, what I've done is basically started my career pretty early. So even though I've just completed my bachelor degree, I've started pretty early from 12th grade onwards, high school. And what I did was ventured into freelancing career pretty early.
Hmm.
And before getting into my entrepreneurial journey, which was exactly 18 months ago, 18 to 24 months ago, I just used to do two things: was do freelancing in a lot of fields and domains, and I
Hmm.
used to do my research in computer science. So these were the two things I used to do before venturing into business. Basically, I've done freelancing in a variety of fields like product management, predictive analysis, data analysis, or dashboarding and reporting. I've done academic counseling, I've tutored. So I've pretty much done a lot of this thanks
Hmm.
to the initial clients I got, even though I didn't have a great profile, a freelance profile. So yeah, we got in touch. It was just before COVID. So we
Hmm.
just I just went ahead, made a freelance profile, and got in touch with some foreign clients because back then in India it was a big deal to work with foreign clients and earn a respectable amount.
Hmm.
So got in touch with some clients in the Middle East and started working. And I didn't mind the type of work or the quality of work. I just took whatever came my way and gradually grew into the different roles I took up as a freelance professional. So started by tutoring, started by doing people's assignments, courses. I knew it was small work, but I just kept doing that because I was in high school. Then I ventured into data analysis. I told my clients that I've been practicing data science, I've been doing predictive analysis, I've been doing dashboarding, KPI reporting, etc. So if you have
Hmm.
any projects, you can lead them my way. So they were kind enough to do that, and I did a lot of hands-on real-time projects with many third-party companies who want their dashboarding and stakeholder meeting reports to be done. So this is what I did. And after that, the most shocking and the most interesting part was that I never thought product management could be done via freelance.
Hmm.
So I always thought what product management is you join a very fancy multinational company
Yeah.
and you're given the post of a product manager. You have a team, you have a dedicated design team, you have a dedicated development team, you have people to report to, and you monitor KPIs and stuff. So that was my image of product management. But when I got offered a role in product management via freelance, I just took it. I didn't think twice, and I took and started working. What was it? What was my role? So when I say product management via freelance, obviously it's remote. So if I'm working with a client in the United States or in the Middle East, they won't arrange for the logistics for me to go there and work. And that's the whole point of freelancing career, is remote work. I used to do everything remotely. I used to manage the UI UX design teams, the development teams, doing cross team communications, setting up KPIs, metrics, looking after the bugs, the application crashes, etc. Reporting it to my managers, who then used to report to the CEO. So I've worked on a lot of classified projects in a variety of industries. Now, product management is not only necessarily for a digital product. You can do it for any tangible product as well.
Hmm.
But as far as digital product management is concerned, then you are given the choice of the favorite industries to work in, be it health tech, ed tech, prop tech, space tech, etc. So I
Hmm.
had the privilege to work on three major projects, which were in health tech, tech, and in sports tech. And
Okay.
these were all classified. I had all those NDAs signed and I had to work for them. Didn't know the main aim of the company. I was just given a product. These are your teams, and now you have to manage and hit the goals. And that was the aim. So I kept doing that. They liked my progress. They liked how I used to communicate effectively, how I used to manage communications, do pipelining of my work, document every possible thing, so that there's no lag from my end, there's complete transparency, etc. And that was all the minor things which led to me successfully completing my freelance career. While doing this, I was writing research papers as I was a computer science student. So I
Hmm.
was getting deep into fields like deep learning and obviously machine learning, because I was
Yeah.
studying deep learning. So I got into neural networks, long, short-term memory neural networks, etc. Wrote some interesting papers which got published in international journals. So one of them was generating automatic music using LSTM. So that was one where you
Mm.
feed them a lot of dummy music clips. It learns from it and makes a tune of its own. So that was one which I did back in 2021. Then I've written another paper which was very common, but it was effective network. I was also a network security major in my college. So I took up at network security analysis using the machine learning and data mining. So I've published a few research papers here and there, and then is where the real journey starts.
Nice. Let me ask you this: do you work alone, or do you have like a couple of other people that work with you?
When I was freelancing, I was alone. Maybe I used to take help from a few of my friends, but that used to be a secret.
Okay.
I wasn't allowed to. I didn't have the privilege. Yeah, when once I started doing product management, they were the ones who gave me my teams. I was just a middleman. Yeah.
Yeah.
After I started my own ventures is when I started having my own team.
Hmm. And you started back in high school, like your last year in high school. Is that what you
Yeah.
said?
Yeah.
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 So in high school, what I guess inspired you or prompted you to want to like start that kind of like that consulting or project management journey
Yeah.
instead of just going to college and getting a, I guess, a regular job?
So there's I don't know if you've heard, but there's a massive competition for people who want to get into reputed institutes to study engineering in India.
Okay.
One of them being the IITs, the Indian Institute of Technology. So 12 lakh people give their entrance exams for which is called the joint entrance exam, JEE,
Hmm.
and out of which only 15,000 get to study at
Mm.
the IITs. So I knew what my level was, and I accepted the reality. I was preparing for it, though. I got enrolled into some coaching camps, etc., to get me to that level. But honestly, either I wasn't interested enough, excited enough about the possibility of just learning physics, chemistry, and math, solve some MCQs, and then getting into a college of your choice. That just wasn't hitting, uh, what I wanted to, what I was set out to do. uh,
Mm.
that was the point where where I started exploring that, okay, even if I don't get a college of my choice, I'll do something of my own parallel. Because in India, it's not easy to just not work after high school, not take up join college after high school. It's a compulsion. It's mostly a compulsion. After high
Mm.
school, you need to go enroll into a college and have a professional degree. And because of the type of subjects I chose after my secondary school, I got into math and science. So the only logical conclusion was for me to study engineering as my bachelor's.
Mm.
So if that was the case, I I knew that, okay, the only thing that might interest me in engineering is computer science. Anything else which is electronics, telecommunications, mechanical, civil engineering, aerospace wasn't exciting me
Mm.
enough. Computer science was very saturated back then as well. In 2019 in India, it was very saturated because computer science engineering in India is seen as the only gateway to get a corporate job.
Ah.
So yeah, and people spend lakhs of rupees in their engineering degree just to get that coveted computer science branch in that college, so
Mm.
that they get the ROI, return on investment, after completing their 4 years of bachelor's. So that was the perception of computer science. No one was learning computer science the way it was meant to be. No one was using it to make applications or to do research. No one was doing it for that. Everyone was doing it to get into corporate. And in India, even recruiters are doing follow the same pattern, that whenever annually they set out camps at universities, they
Mm.
only select, okay, their preference one is computer science students, because when they enroll in college, computer science is a coveted branch. So if you have higher marks in your entrance exams, that is the only way you can get into computer science.
Mm.
And after completing 4 years, no matter how poor you were, if you were in computer science, you already are at a pedestal above your other folks who are studying maybe other branches. And that was the reality. That
Mm.
was because of the tech boom in the late 90s, which happened in the West. And because India has cheap labor, outsourcing of tech projects used to happen here.
Mm.
And that is how computer science gained that reputation of it gives you jobs. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting
Yeah.
because I remember when I first started college back in 2001, or my second year of college, I went to from a community college to a university, and I worked for Gateway Tech Support. But then, I guess as the years passed on by, a lot of that call center IT stuff was um, exported or outsourced to places like India. So that makes sense now. It kind of like brings it full circle, makes a complete picture for me. So it's
Exactly.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the point where I thought, let's explore. Otherwise, I'm just
Hmm.
going to end up taking a normal 9 to 5, sitting in a cubicle and doing nothing. So yeah, I could see that coming 4 years earlier. So I started
Uh-huh.
pretty early, and that is the reason. When you start earning early, very early, you then you then get that freedom, that degree of freedom to explore whatever you want to, be it business wise, be it entrepreneurial, be it not choosing a 9 to 5, just going for higher studies, pursuing your masters or pursuing your PhDs. That is how you earn your degree of freedom, by starting when you start earning early. That's that was my case, at least. And
Mm.
I could earn that freedom where, the parents or your relatives or your friends or whatever, they don't kind of look upon, okay, you're just wasting your time doing nothing.
Hmm.
So if you earn early, you can do two things: you earn that freedom, and secondly, you start investing that money into markets, into the share and stock markets, into various financial instruments, and kind of start growing your wealth. Yeah.
Okay. It's interesting because I did have a guest on here, Manish. He's originally from India, but I think he lives somewhere in the UK.
Okay.
I don't know if it's London, but he was kind of talking about the whole high school to college thing and making like certain grades and like there's I guess coveted careers, kind of like what you were saying, like the computer and I think medical and
Yeah.
something else he mentioned. But I think his scores weren't high enough to get into maybe I guess more of the prestigious medical fields. I have to go back and listen to that, but it does sound familiar to me. So it's interesting how that transition from high school to college is different in different like countries.
True.
Yeah. So I guess out of all of the things that you do, which is your favorite from I guess doing the cyber stuff or like the um project management stuff? And it is interesting because I've never I guess really heard of anyone kind of doing project management um without having some type of uh, I guess I don't know. It's just kind of weird because you're so young and you were doing project management, and then you were doing it from a I guess international um perspective, and then you were doing it on online. But um between that and cyber and the AI stuff, which one of those is your favorite thing to spend
Uh,
time on?
Hey, it's Mannmay, and you're listening to Career Insights 501 by Dr. Carlos Seving. Right now, neither, because I'll tell you why. Yeah. I started my own businesses. So, um, I'll tell you the career field or a career path might seem very not direct, but entrepreneurship as a career is something I wanted
Hmm.
to highlight upon, where it's not important to have 10 years of or 20 years of industry experience, take all have all the possible investor connections in the world, have all the pedigrees, and then venturing into something. um, if you find a problem, even if you're 16, you can start your own business today and make money. And even if you don't start it with the intention of making money, at least you'll end up solving a real problem which exists today. And there are a lot of them,
Hmm.
a billion of them, and it will never end. So entrepreneurship is a career. Yeah. Product management, data science, network security, these are all tools which I use to run my
Hmm.
business. So that passion has never gone. I still till date manage the product of my company. I still maybe do predictive modeling, or whenever whatever data we get.
Hmm.
So what are the type of businesses I was involved with is something I would shed light upon.
Okay.
So firstly was a venture into health tech. It didn't materialize enough. It wasn't an operational success, but still it was something where I invested a lot of my time and energy ideating, brainstorming, and coming up with a business model, a product, a customer base, a team, etc. It takes a lot of time, especially when you have no cash and no investors to reach out to so that they can back your business. And
Yeah.
you need to do it anyways, because it was my dream or my passion to start a business. So firstly, I ventured into health tech, where I was trying to make a platelet aggregator platform, um, for all the three stakeholders in this conversation, which are the recipients, the patients in the hospitals themselves, and the donors. Now, as a business model, it seems really bad and really awkward to monetize something like blood, right? And
Hmm.
that is that. Therefore, all these type of businesses end up being NGOs. So, what I did was, why platelets? Because in India, since awareness regarding blood has increased, there have been a lot of blood donation camps being held across the country, and unnecessarily a lot of blood is wasted. It's good
Hmm.
for nothing. So I figured out a gap where a lot of medical problems, a lot of health problems is just because of lack of platelets, which is one of the components of your blood, not blood entirely. So if you can specifically donate blood, platelets, please do that. Don't waste blood. And
Ah, okay.
when I did a lot of my research, I figured out there was a way which people in developed countries or in India, only hospitals with good infrastructure were doing, was called something called as SDP, single donor platelets,
Mm-hmm.
where you a donor donates their platelets. They donate the blood. Basically, the platelets get centrifugated, and the rest of the blood is returned back to their body. And those platelets are taken, made into a platelet bag, and reserved in cold storage. What was the original way of doing platelet donation? Four people just randomly donating blood. Four blood bags were just taken, centrifugated into one, and made one platelet bag. So things like cross infection,
Mm-hmm.
wastage of blood, all of these things were happening. And maybe you're not giving that boost of platelets by just doing that stuff. But when it comes to SDP, it increases by 20,000x. So that
Mm-hmm.
was something I wanted to solve. But obviously, being young and venturing so early, I just didn't want it to be an NGO. So I stopped operations and I continued my next venture where I could make money, and maybe later I could take this up again when I have the
Mm-hmm.
capacity or the financial capacity to run it without any monetary expectations. So that is how I started Evolve, which I'm currently doing.
Okay.
So yeah, Evolve is actually an education technology brand. And what we do, simply in a nutshell, is educate teenagers and Gen Z of India, especially, about personal finance. So even in India, if you ask a 45 or a 50-year-old man, even he's maybe some of them might be illiterate today about their finances and money. So why am I
Same
interested
here.
in a teenager to learn about stocks and stuff, right? Is because I feel a 15-year-old, for example, their brains are moldable, they are open to change. And if they are tapped early, there is a family tree problem here in India. So if I catch a guy early, they
Mm-hmm.
and I educate them, I make them financially literate, they have the potential to maybe entirely change their family tree. Now, the family, if their family is not known for managing their finances properly, they have been poor with their money management, they have been involved in a lot of scams, etc. So, if you catch a child, they'll make sure that the rest of the family tree is financially literate and not dumb.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the reason I'm interested in a younger age group. Business wise, also, it reaps a lot of rewards because financial institutions like banks, broking firms, and all of these are crazy behind acquiring new customers. So, for example,
Mm-hmm.
you might have a bank account, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
when you have a bank account, I don't think so you'll be changing your bank account every year. Once
No.
you have your bank account, it's almost going to be there for entirety.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where financial institutions like banks are competing with each other. Private banks, public banks, hybrid sector banks, all of them are just competing to get those new people to open accounts. And that is how they make money. And therefore, a lot of CAC, customer acquisition cost, is being wasted by these banks to acquire new customers. And that is where a platform like us comes in, where we tie up. One funnel is open to acquiring a user base, where universities, colleges, schools come as our users, try to
Mm-hmm.
come on our applications and start learning finances in a practical way, maybe using simulations, close to real world scenarios. And on the other funnel, it's the businesses who tie up with us to tap to that audience whom they want to cater to for the next 50, 60 years.
Mm-hmm.
So this is
Gotcha.
what I've been doing. Yeah. And this is something which will excite any person who's my age or in their 20s, so that they can leverage this and build a very sustainable business.
Mm-hmm. I saw some of your pictures on Hollywork. And it seems like you draw in pretty big crowds. The picture on Polywork, is that at one of like a seminar or a session that you were hosting? I
Yeah.
don't know. It seemed like it was like a couple of hundred people there.
Yeah. Yeah, a couple hundred. Yeah, exactly. So basically, I called up a friend, that it was the national capital of India, New Delhi.
Mm-hmm.
So, and one of the famous universities there is the University of Delhi. If you
Mm-hmm.
can get reach there, you have a public voice, and you can reach out to a lot of youngsters and students. So that was my aim. I reached out to a friend of mine working, studying there, and I just told him I have this my own business going. If you can just
Mhm.
arrange me a seminar or a session, it would be great. And they were kind enough to do that, and I didn't expect it to be like to have such a huge crowd. And my agenda, or the aim of that talk, was importance of financial literacy for youth.
Okay.
And people just read that slogan and came in, and that is the picture that you saw. Yeah.
Okay. Now, do you have a website or an app? How do you reach your clients or customers?
Yeah. So this is the most beautiful part. So we've pivoted a lot. So being a business, you just not don't have one thing. You pivot according to the trends you see in the market, the
Mhm.
way your users are behaving or expecting a certain thing. So yeah, we were a traditional edtech company selling courses, monetizing them. Then we pivoted into just being an app, a simple mobile
Mhm.
app, hands-on learning app. Learning finance should be at the ease of your pocket, and you shouldn't be monetized for simple things like learning shouldn't be monetized for people who cannot afford.
Right.
So that is the aim right now with Evolve, that we have an app. It's on a subscription based model, it has its own subscriptions, etc. But it's free for majority of the crowd. Not all of your user base is going to convert into a subscribed user. So but at least that is the value I'm adding into the ecosystem, that most of the knowledge is free for all, and those
Mhm.
who are really wanting to be a part of the Evolve community can pay. This is what we are trying to do. And if you've used Duolingo to learn a
Mhm.
language,
Yep.
what did Duolingo do? Before Duolingo existed, we had private firms who used to charge $1 million or thousands of bucks to just teach you a foreign language because you were preparing to go abroad for studies, or maybe you just want to converse with other people, or maybe you're in a new country.
Mhm.
Uh, these used to be expensive courses and certifications. Duolingo changed that game altogether. They made learning language so easy at the ease of your mobile phone. It's free, mostly it's free for use. And they have a 300 million user base today as we speak. So, how did they achieve that scale is something which always amazed me. And if we map the same thing to learning finance, which is as important of a life skill as learning a language, that is where Evolve sees itself positioned in the market. So, that is the aim.
Nice. It's interesting that you could kind of like get inspiration for how to scale or model your business around something that's completely different, like Duolingo. But that does, make sense hearing you explain it. What would be some advice that you would give people? And it could be specific to people in India, because just from talking to you and like, one of my earlier guests, it does seem like it's um, a unique situation to that region. So, like, what would be some advice that you would give to individuals there that are thinking about starting a career as an entrepreneur?
Firstly, that the current government is trying to come up with systems and organizations which help young people build their own business.
Hmm.
So I would just urge to take benefit of these schemes, because people just come up and say, the system is not doing anything for the young entrepreneurs or wanting to be entrepreneurs. Um, we have to figure it out everything by ourselves, etc. Like all these,
Hmm.
I hear it every day. But if you just surf the internet properly, browse, and you can find a lot of schemes which the person would relate to and can avail, so that at least they can get started with their businesses. Simple schemes like startups don't need to pay tax.
Hmm.
They have tax exemption for the first 3 years.
Oh.
You have a startup status for the first 10 years of your operation, which eases your filings, your compliances, etc. This is on the legal part. As far as the investors connections, etc., we have a lot of portals these days which the government has.
So yeah, you were saying something around you think that they should take advantage of those schemes that they have there.
Yeah, so this is for people who think that they don't have enough bootstrap capital, or they don't have access to investors, or maybe they don't have the right mentors or advisors. They don't have the perfect heavenly business model to make them millions. So they can do this simple thing, and they are hell-bent on, I want a business of my own. So if you want to do that, you should avail these schemes, be it in whatever sector. If it's legal, you have tax exemptions, you have less compliances, etc. If it's on investor side, we have a lot of portals where investors are actively interacting with young startup founders. If it's business model, mentors, advisors, you have specific portals on Startup India for them as well. So I feel people should avail all these schemes and all these systems in place. Secondly, there's no perfect time to start. So if they are thinking, okay, I'll start when I am 25 or I am 35 or whatever, that won't happen, because if an idea has struck your brain at 21, you need to start and address that at 21. You cannot wait, because someone else will come in and make it, and you'll sit, you'll just sit and cry that, okay, I could have made that, or something like that. So there's no perfect age. And this is something I've taken inspiration from the United States as far as the startup ecosystem is concerned, that they really start when they want to, majority of them. uh, I've been to Harvard University recently. I was there in February.
Hmm.
I was there to present Evolve as a case study, and what I learned was pretty amazing. So I wasn't on the west side. I was only in Massachusetts, at Harvard University campus in Boston, and then I went to New York. So one thing I can say, that those people start early if they have an idea.
Hmm.
So I would urge every possible person who's of my age or in my age bracket to start early if they have an idea. But secondly, people just shouldn't start for the sake of starting it. So if you don't have an idea in the first place, what will you start? So um, you should also be sure on that part. If you want to be less, less considered to be less of a failure, then you just need to validate your idea a bit in the market. Not just take a moonshot idea and start it right away, because you will end up wasting your resources anyway.
Hmm.
So if a person is really starved of resources, then they have also the option to just validate the idea in the market. And India has a very huge user base. You will find a user base for whatever idea you come up with. So to validate it for free, you don't need to invest a lot of money just to see whether it will work or not. This is what I can say. Because once you start, this ecosystem in India is gradually improving.
Hmm.
So if you get to that level where, okay, you get to a seed level, you have a few customers in, you are a revenue generating company, you have good traction, then definitely investors will invest. And once they invest, then it's not a smooth path, but it helps once you set on that path. Yeah.
Okay. That's all good advice. I like the second piece especially is just start. There's no right age to start, and how you said that if you don't start it, somebody else would probably come along with the idea and do it. And a lot of people say, "Oh man, I had that idea." I hear it all the time. A lot here. It's like I had the same idea, but they never put any type of work or effort into um making that idea become a product or a service or whatever the idea was based around. So that's, I think, some really good advice. So yeah, you are really, really well accomplished for somebody who's only 20 years old. So, um, wow, I'm gonna have to give you some congratulations
Thank you so much. Thank you.
on that one.
Uh, Actually, yeah, and I feel that Evolve is also still very, very young, but I just wanted
Hmm.
a medium where I could voice that, yeah, people who are 20, 21, 22 can start their own business and can make it big, because I'm not saying Evolve is big, but definitely the only thing which differentiates is the mindset that I started, someone did not. That's the only difference. Someone just
Mm.
took up a 9 to 5. There's no harm in doing a 9 to 5, but if they're sitting in that cubicle thinking I could have started, and they haven't. be whatever the scenario might be it the financial situation in the family or whatever it is, but they can still do part time. There is no excuse that I couldn't start because of XYZ. If you have financial crisis at your home, it's a financial crunch, then you do part time.
Mm-hmm.
You do your 9 to 5, get home at 6, start at 7, work on your idea and make it happen, because if you make it big, then you can leave your 9 to 5 comfortably and switch over easily.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something I followed.
Yeah. That's good advice as well. Um, so I wanted to ask you how easy, because there are like a lot of people in India, kind of like you were saying, like you can find somebody to support, like there will be a user base for your product in India. How easy have you found it to find and grow your user base for your product? Do you think it's easier for certain things? So for me, with my like internet stuff that I'm doing with my book, and because it's based off of careers, and America's a little bit different. Everything has to be like very sexy or
Yeah.
very entertaining, and
Yeah.
so careers aren't really entertaining. Do you find it different in India? Like, is it easier to grow your user base around certain things like tech versus um finances?
Yeah. So for young startups, it's difficult,
Mm-hmm.
because even if you have um, an idea which is equivalent to E equals to MC square, it's that amazing. Um, People here trust a lot. People here bet on one thing, which is trust. Number
Mm-hmm.
one, and number two is loyalty. So if you are a young brand, you don't have these two things anyways.
Yeah.
So you just need to do whatever is in your capacity to get to that level where you start becoming coming in in the public eye. So that is where press releases help a lot, because here in
Mm-hmm.
India it's almost like a ritual that whenever you a new startup fundraises, there are a lot of editorials which straight away there's an article on the web that XYZ startup raised so and so dollars from uh, uh, XYZ capital. So this is something which startups can leverage to get into the
Mm-hmm.
public eye, especially if you're a B2C business, because in India building a B2C brand is difficult, but once you get crack that code, um, there's no limit to how much money you can make, because the India's population is 140 crores.
Mm.
So there will be, even if you capitalize 0.1% of whatever your market is in whatever business you have ventured into, that is your PMF, product market fit, right there. You don't need to capitalize 10% of the market or 50% of the market. It's just that 1%. If you do that, it's half the war won. It's that kind of a situation. So initially it's difficult, and a lot of businesses end up succumbing to that difficult period.
Mhm.
So that period can go up to a year for some startups. It can be 4 years for some startups. So do you have that capacity to go revenue less for 4 years? Some 80% of people don't have that patience. So they shut
Mhm.
shop and they go. They don't give them that product or that service in that market that due time it needs to take off. So that is the problem. It's not about easy or tough. uh, it is difficult for everyone. Yeah, it is easier for you if you've worked at Deloitte for 20 years and you just come in with an idea. You have hell lot of investor connections, you have money in your bank to start something and make it big quicker than a 20-year-old trying to make trying to start something. Definitely that's always the
Yeah.
case. But if you talk about peers, if I talk about my other fellow 20-year-olds or 21-year-olds, that struggle is going to be the same. Depends on the market and depends on the type of business. D2C, direct to consumer e-commerce businesses is flourishing in India like crazy. um, if that is something which excites you, you should definitely try it out. This is the time for it. Space tech is booming in India currently.
Mhm.
So there are some certain fintech, financial technology is there. EdTech is there to stay. You might have heard of Byju's, uh, which sponsored the football FIFA World Cup, right? Which is
Okay.
4 years. So it was the main sponsor. So edtech in India has always been booming. So there are
Mm-hmm.
two problems: either your business is good, it does a lot of revenue, you're good on your finances, but the product is not innovative enough, or the
Mm-hmm.
product is innovative but it didn't get the reach it deserves. So you can fall in either of these two, and you'll have to come out, you'll have to figure things out. But once you do, and that is relative, but once you do, it's very easy to um, uh, stay relevant if you follow a certain procedure. That if your product, if you're into product business, you need to always maintain that innovation. For example, in edtech, you need to come up with various e-learning technologies, do that R&D, put that R&D in. It requires capital, agreed, but once you put that in, you shouldn't waste all of that R&D capital into marketing, because your focus is on product innovation.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise a company will fail. So that is one of the main problems of some Indian companies. For example, Byju's, it's a very successful ed tech company, it has a decent product, but they've raised a lot of capital and ended up wasting 80% of that in marketing and sales, and didn't improve the product. And eventually when
Mm-hmm.
people realized, okay, maybe the product is not that great, it was just the bombarding of the brand which made us buy that, then now it's on a decline. So you need to figure out according to what your user needs. So for example, at Evolve, if the user wants a mobile app to learn, give them that mobile app. Don't be adamant to, no, no, I'll just be a monetized edtech company. I'll sell expensive courses. Those who want to buy it will buy. Others, just, yeah. So
Mm.
that is the trick. If you do that, it's easy.
It's interesting that you say that and put it into that perspective, because I work in ed tech. It's why I use ed tech a lot for what I do, because I do instructional design.
Oh,
And there was one company, e-learning authoring tool that is notorious. Like, most instructional designers like to use this software, but when I use it, I was like, they don't have this feature, they don't have this feature, but it's like, to your point, the bombardment of the brand or the company. Um, and it's just kind of like, okay, it's 2021 and we don't have this feature in this product yet. And like, I go online in the forums and I search, and it's like 5 years ago somebody asked for this and they still haven't added this feature to the software. And I was like, this is crazy. They charging a lot of money for this and they don't even have kind of like basic features
yeah,
like speech to text, like converting speech to text. And it's kind of like we're in the age of AI and robotics now, and stuff like that is still not even in the software. It's just,
exactly,
it's crazy.
exactly. That's the
Yeah,
point.
yeah. I want to ask you too, because I know in America, social media is like a huge part of marketing and growing a brand. how big of it? How big of a deal, or how important is that in India, especially for an entrepreneur? Is social media as big in India as it is in America?
Crazy. It's crazy. It's
Really?
almost everything for some brands. It's going crazy. I feel there have been industries like creator economy, uh, which have come up just because people now trust micro creators rather than big celebrities,
Mm,
sports personalities. You have your five. If you are an Instagram creator, you have your 5,000 followers. Those 5,000, you have such a heavy influence on those 5,000 people that whatever you endorse, they are going to buy it anyways.
mhm,
So, and that is what startups are targeting: creator economy, where they incentivize the creator a lot, keep them happy, and they have their own separate user bases, fan bases. So that is booming. And today, success is being judged whether you have a social media presence or not.
mhm.
So, for example, I was meeting up a friend of mine and he asked me, okay, do you have a page on social media? If I would have said no, okay, it's not a big brand, it's not a big deal. Even if you have millions of customers, your product is doing good, but if you don't have an Instagram presence, they'll immediately relate, okay, it's not a big brand. So
Yeah.
that is what it has come down to. uh, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, it's
No,
it's
it's
just
X.
it's crazy. It's
It's not
X, yeah.
Twitter.
It's X, sorry. It's X. So yeah, even so everything is going crazy. So marketing has changed. Initially it was, as I told you, in India brands work on two things: trust and loyalty. That is not the case today. That's there, but which will it'll change in the next 4 to 5 years. So what used to happen in the early 2000s, people used to see a big personality or a celebrity on TV endorsing something, people used to buy. Then they, after a couple of years, they started thinking, okay, we have brains, why did we buy that? Because the product wasn't that great, but because a
Mm-hmm.
person endorsed it. Then after that was the era of sports personalities and those type of people, because they were people who presented themselves on the field, so people thought they are genuine people, they won't endorse some shit. But then people still fell in that trap.
Yeah.
Then came the age of micro creators, micro creator economy, like social media influencers. And right now it has come down to data. So in the age of, as you said, it's AI and robotic world right now, still people do end up missing out on some very obvious features in the products. As similarly for marketing, it is completely data driven now. What it has come down to, for example, you like a dessert, you go to a restaurant, a person knows, an AI company knows, or a data company knows you like a particular dessert because you might have bought it somewhere and they have that data. Restaurants tie up with these companies, and the waiter will ask you to whether you would have that XYZ dessert or not. So that at that point, it is not a matter of would you want to have a dessert or not. Then the fight is whether you want to have that dessert or not. So, and that is what marketing has come down to, and brand trust. Because now if I ask you that question, you'll immediately, oh, this is a nice restaurant, they asked me my favorite dessert.
Yeah.
So that is how loyalty seeps in, trust seeps in. This is what happened. For example, there's a famous soft drink in India, Mountain Dew. I like it a lot, and somehow a data company knows I like Mountain Dew. So if now I'm going to go for a vacation, and I in my room I find a gift basket with a lot of Mountain Dews in it. So what is that?
Ah,
So this is what is marketing today, data driven and AI driven. So yeah,
nice. I guess I guess that's cool. I kind of like get cautious about just how much data is being gathered about people, and it's kind of scary. But that's cool that they had your Mountain Dew waiting in there for you. You know, I would have been excited if somebody had a basket full of Sprite waiting on me when I got to my hotel or resort. So I'm a big Sprite guy.
that's where social media comes in. Now, what, I'm not a social media person, but if I was, I would have immediately taken a snap or taken a pic of, see,
Right.
I got a gift basket. And now my friends, or at least my locality, knows, okay, I like soft. I used to like Mountain Dew. They sent him a gift basket as well. Might be a good brand. They care about their customers. So even my friends and my peer group will start drinking Mountain Dew. That is
Mm,
what marketing has
yeah.
come down to. Yeah.
Yeah. Mountain Dew is I, I think it's a big thing. I don't like Mountain Dew, but a lot of people here a lot of people here like Mountain Dew. So I'm really big on Sprite. I don't really like Coke.
Pride is cool.
I drink Coke and Pepsi, but it's like if I go out somewhere, if I'm getting like a soft drink, it's gonna be a Sprite. So
Okay.
yeah, that's mine. So if anybody wants to send me a basket full of Sprites, you know, on my next trip, if you're listening out there, I'll be more than happy to take it. You know, as long as I don't get charged on my room fees when I leave. Um, so yeah, is there anything else that you want to share with the audience or tell people about Evolve? I think that's really great because financial literacy. I work for Discover, the credit card company, and we, you know, so I'm kind of like in that fintech world or financial world. I work more so on the education side, but financial literacy is a big thing here in America as far as people getting it at younger ages. So I think what you know you're doing and your focus is really great because I think it's better to get people when they're younger. Hold on.
Exactly. Yeah.
So they can develop those best practices when they grow up and pass it to their you know their children, and it just becomes like a way of living. So but going back to what you said about the youth in India and how they will go back and share it with their family, I think that's great that the older generation or older people in the family are willing to listen to the younger people and take that knowledge and grow in a positive way from it.
And
I
even
don't
if
think
they
that's
don't
necessarily the
get any
case here.
guidance, it's fine, because now once that kid starts earning, he or she is going to take decisions how they want to, and not how the parents want to. And even if parents are open to change, it's the kids who are advising, invest in stock A, don't do
Hmm.
this, buy a mutual fund right now, don't invest in bulk, do an SIP of it, don't invest in crypto right now, it's volatile. All these things, when it's discussed on a dinner table, or even if not on a dinner table, even if the individual is investing consciously, if even if 20 million such teenagers invest wisely, the economy will go up. It's obvious, it's
Yeah.
quite obvious. Yeah. So that's what the aim is. And secondly, I would just want to say about Evolve that when people, about you yourself, have know about this, about importance of financial literacy in youth, but people think, why education? It's the harder route. When you try to educate someone, it's difficult, rather than just to spoon feed a service.
Hmm.
Just make a fintech, and take people's money, and yeah, you're good to go. But I feel, and still today, as we speak, if I start promote Evolve heavily, I spend millions of dollars on just marketing Evolve, out of 100, only 20 people or 30 people will consciously take that decision of learning themselves, and 80 to 70 people still want to be spoon fed, that okay, please invest this money for me, or take my money, do
Right.
whatever you want, and just give me the returns, for example. Or maybe simply, I don't want to invest, it's gamble.
Hmm.
So this is what will remain, and it that but we have to reduce that number. It's not going to go to 80/20. It'll gradually decrease, but someone has to do it, right? And that is what where Evolve plays a small part in doing that.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you some less serious questions.
Yeah, yeah,
So
sure.
what do you do for self-care?
um Self-care, I play sport.
Okay.
uh yeah. So I used to play professionally cricket. It's a very famous sport in
Ah.
India. I used to play cricket, I play badminton, I play football. And as far as sleep is concerned, honestly, it's kind of messed up right now because of, you can imagine, because of what.
I know.
Definitely, I'm trying to improve it. But yeah, sport and exercise is something which keeps me going. That's one of
Okay.
the major part of self care.
And so for the American listeners, when you say football, you're talking about the soccer
Um,
here, right?
soccer, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I did wanted to ask you. Um. Dang, I forgot my question. That quick was about something that you just said. Um. So here's a question: if you could go to the future or the past, which one would you pick?
Uh, I would go to the past, because I always speak from the perspective of my country. So I
Okay.
think, India is doing great. It's doing phenomenal, because we're like the fifth largest economic power right now, which is still far from what our potential is. So
Mm-hmm.
why it is like the way it is today is because of our past. It's not because of, it's everything can be recorrected if I
Mm.
were to go to the past, and we might be where we deserve to be. So it's maybe because of the history we've had in the country that we are not where we are, and that because of that history, there's a certain type of culture or policy, which has seeped into the citizens, which make them a labor class or a work class, or narrow-minded. It's all because of the history we've had. So everything,
Mm.
if you do the RCA, we call it in product management, the root cause analysis.
Mm-hmm.
The root cause is our history. So if I have the opportunity to change it, I would go to the past.
Interesting. I've always said the future, but I do like your perspective. I just like I said, I just want to see how humanity is going to end because I know we're going to destroy ourselves. Like,
I wanted to give a more practical answer, but yeah, even I would want to go to the future. Yeah.
yeah. So that's cool. Um. So, India or China?
India. No, no questions.
He said, "What kind of question is that?"
Yeah.
What is your favorite food?
It's home cooked food.
Okay.
It's bean curries with rice. We have yeah. So it's home cooked food, not no fast food, no nothing. Just pure home cooked food. Yeah, that's yeah. Street food is something you can enjoy. So when if anyone visits the national capital Delhi, or anywhere, street food is something you'll obviously enjoy. Maybe not. Maybe your gastric system needs to take a toll, but if you just want to entertain your taste buds, street food is something which you will enjoy in India. So any type of street food, be it there is a state system in India, so every state has its own ethnic dish.
Mm-hmm.
So wherever you go in India, you will find at every 100 kilometers there's a change in culture, the way people speak, the food, etc. It's that diverse. So
Mm.
anything, food is something you will enjoy anywhere, be it home cooked food or be it street food. Yeah,
So you said bean curry and beans? Okay,
yeah.
or curry and rice? What did you say?
Yeah, yeah. Bean curry with rice.
Bean curry with rice and a Mountain Dew on the side.
We have something called as buttermilk, which is better than Mountain Dew. Mountain
Okay.
Dew is a load of sugar, and
Yeah.
buttermilk is a healthier approach and still refreshing in the same way. Yeah,
You said buttermilk?
yeah.
Is it the same buttermilk that we have over here in America? Maybe you
Uh,
don't know.
no,
It's
it's
like thicker and it's kind of
yeah.
thick here.
The buttermilk. It's a salted drink. It's not sweet, and
Okay.
it's made out of curd. Yeah,
So it might be very similar if it's not the same.
yeah. Might be. Yeah. So that's
Is it
something which.
white?
Yeah, it's white. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we have something here is buttermilk, but I think it's made out of curd. I know it's a lot thicker than like regular milk. And we
Yeah, yeah.
use it to cook various stuff, but I've never known anybody to drink it. We always cook with it, so it could be
Oh,
the
we
same.
drink it. It's a time pass drink as well. If you're, it's a welcome drink given, or it's especially in summers.
Mm,
Um, so people have cold drinks or soft drinks, aerated drinks. We have buttermilk, and there's a sweeter version of buttermilk called lassi. So we have that. So it's a better way of just enjoying a drink. People, when you go to the theaters for movies, etc., you have your aerated drinks, but at home, generally people prefer buttermilk or something like that.
gotcha. Okay, that's interesting. I'm gonna have to look that one up to see if it's um
It
the
might be a
same,
bit
but
different. Yeah.
it might be a bit
Yeah,
different.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If you're cooking with it, we don't cook with buttermilk because, so yeah, it's not the same. Maybe.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, most people over here, I'm pretty sure people drink it, but I've just known it to always be something that people cook with. Like we might put it in some type of bread or
yeah, yeah.
dessert or something like that. So
Hmm.
cool. Um, do you want to tell the people about any projects that you're working on or how they can reach you? Is Evolve strictly for people who live in India, or is it a international thing?
We glad you asked. We'll soon be international. So
Okay.
right now we are catering to India, but it is our dream to reach out globally. And because financial literacy remains the same problem, the percentage might vary, but the problem prevails in every country. So we stay relevant wherever we go,
Hmm.
and therefore, yeah, we are planning to expand, and we're looking for people who would help us do that.
Okay. Cool. So how can they reach out to you?
um, I'm always accessible by mail, through Instagram, and call people. People can just call me, yeah, because I maintain a separate number for work, so people can reach out to me, call me anytime, and I'll be glad to receive.
Okay. and I'll share all that information with everybody. I'll leave it in the caption sections of the video. So if you all are listening and not watching, if you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, I'll make sure I'll have all that information in there so you can reach out and get more information about Evolve. Um, well, I've enjoyed having you on the show. Is there anything else that you want to say or share?
Something like, did I fulfill the purpose of the podcast because it's career oriented?
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's just one thing I wanted to address, that if I was able to, then I'm glad, because no one, I don't know people, you might have had entrepreneurs, but entrepreneur as a career is something I would urge, that yeah, it is a career, it's not something separate from the mainstream careers people
Mm-hmm.
choose. I've also shared a fair share of my experience in data science, product management. So if people are interested in that, be it for corporate or be it for their own venture, they can still reach out to me. So product management of mostly tech products
Mm-hmm.
in any industry, uh, how to manage any product effectively. So any roles, product analyst, product management, product owner. So all of these roles, um, those people can reach out to me on LinkedIn as well. I'm active there.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so in the main purpose of this podcast is to let people tell their story about their education and their career and kind of like how they've gotten to where they're at. So I think you did a great job of sharing your story with everybody, because you talked about how you started out in high school and you went into the like college and cyber stuff, and then how you got started into Evolve, and how you run that as an entrepreneur. So yeah, for sure. It's not very structured. I don't want it to be like the same thing every time somebody gets on here, even though it is, but everybody has a unique story. So my goal for this is for people to listen to this and be like, oh, well, they didn't follow this prescribed path. Like, for me, it was like, go to college, you're going to get a good job, and then you get out and this life comes at you. It's just like, okay, it's just not a straight path to get to where I want to be. And if I want to pivot careers, kind of like what you did, how does somebody manage that and go into that? And, you went from kind of like cyber and project management and all this stuff into starting something um, in I was about to say fintech, but in like finances or
Finance education. Yeah.
finance education. So it's just kind of like I feel like a lot of people struggle to try to figure that out. So when I have people come on here and they have these varied and diverse career paths and just careers, and being able to just tell people their story and how they, navigated that and the things that they struggled with and things that they excelled at is always beneficial, because
Yeah.
I just feel like you listen to a lot of stuff and people try to make it seems like everything's so perfect and everything's so easy, and they had like this great master plan, and they just it was a cakewalk. And I was just like, for me, life isn't working out or didn't work out like that. So you had to learn how to pivot and move, kind of like you were saying, like with the market and marketing to your clients and stuff. You need to learn how to stick and move and change when you have to. So
Yeah.
I think you did a great job.
Thank you so
And
much.
I always love having international guests on here. And so when I first started this, I thought it would just be people from, the US. And I got on Polywork and I had like several people internationally hit me up. So I think that's good. And, you can take the links when I upload it and share it with your network. And because I'm pretty sure you can reach more people in India than the algorithms will, reach here in
Well,
America. So,
definitely.
um, yeah. So, and
Yeah.
that's why I was trying to be more India specific, because you
Yeah. Yeah.
have more experience like over there. So, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, perspectives, countries might differ, but there might be someone even in the US or even in Europe or
Oh
Africa
yeah.
or whatever, who can relate. Um,
Mhm.
because financial struggles, not getting the college of their choice, and not getting a good job is a common struggle in any country.
Yeah.
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 So that is something, and that's the beauty of podcasting, I feel, and that is the reason I just wanted to voice my opinion or my belief.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. And I'm glad you shared this stuff, kind of, because what I kind of like to get into sometimes, and I forget about it sometimes because I get so caught up into the career, is just sharing about the culture in different areas. Because I had somebody on here from it's not Nebraska, Wisconsin or somewhere, but it's one of those states in the United States that people don't think about a lot or really know a lot about. So I had to ask, like,
Mm.
what is life like there? Because I'm from Mississippi, so a lot of people have their perceptions about the South of Mississippi. I mean,
Yeah.
the South in America versus like the bigger cities on the East Coast and the
Bigger,
West Coast.
yeah, yeah.
So like a LA or New York or Miami, like people know what those cities are like pretty much because they're always, shown in media and TV shows and stuff, but they don't really know what the South is like except for like reading it in the history books, and they think about slavery and racism, and it's not as bad
Mm.
as a lot of people think it is. So I'm glad that you were saying how like you can go 100 yards and like all the culture changes and the way people speak and the food and everything. So me, I would have never known, India to be like that because from an American perspective, when you see India, they present India the same, kind of like
Yeah,
China or, Africa as a,
yeah.
a continent. A lot of people think Africa is a country. And so there's a lot of countries within Africa, and you have like your kind of like in America, like West Africa versus East Africa versus South Africa, and then the North with like Morocco and Egypt and all that, and how maybe like that Indian culture kind of like starts to infuse into some of the northern parts of Africa, and is completely different from South or Nigeria or the Kenyan parts of Africa. So it was cool hearing that and like the buttermilk. Yeah, because I'm like, oh, we cook with buttermilk over here, so it's got to be the same thing.
You can look it
So I'm
up.
gonna go. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna definitely look it up and I'm gonna hit you up on Polywork or email you or something. Be like, yeah, it's definitely not the same thing.
definitely, definitely.
So
Sure.
yeah, but it's been good. I enjoyed having you back. I mean, I was about to say back on the show, but I enjoyed having you on the show.
Yeah,
So I'll
likewise. I had fun and something
yeah.
different from what I usually do.
Cool, cool. I'll keep you updated and let you know when I get ready to post the show. And like I said, if you could just get that picture over to me and I'll post it up on Spotify and Apple.
Sure.
You'll see your face up there.
Sure. Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Well, I'll let you get your day started. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
All right, no
Appreciate it.
problem. Have a good day.
Have a good day. Bye bye.
All right, bye bye.